Hi, I'm going to give you an idea on how to set out your automation test suite, your framework. So here I've been using Visual Studio. Most of my code is done in C Sharp. Over on the right hand side, we can see the Solution Explorer. The solution is made up of a number of projects. Here you can see that beneath the solution we have an assets folder. Now this folder will be used for the purpose of if you have a feature that you want to inject data from a different file. That file can simply be placed there, and then in the step definitions we could reference that file rather than have to copy it out. Okay, then you can see we've got 4 projects. Okay, and this is just an idea. This isn't the one way of doing it. This is a way of doing it that I was shown by my mentor, and I've kind of adapted it slightly. So at the top here, we've got features. So without a feature, there is no test to run. So each feature in this way of doing it will be written in Cucumber format. So for example, you'll have given I am viewing the login page, when I enter valid credentials and I click submit, then I see the user dashboard. Okay, so that is an example of a feature, and all the features would live inside of here. We do also have a couple of other things to look at, but we can do that in a separate video. Beneath the features, we have step definitions. So each line in our feature file, so our given, when, then, and our ands, will need to be defined in a step definitions file. Okay, so we can have various different step definitions files. So we might have a login steps, we might have a user complete checkout steps. For example, if it was e-commerce, obviously it completely differs to whatever you're working on. You can see we've also got some other folders in here. So not all of our testing will be done through the UI. Some of our testing may be done, or our data creation may be done through going directly into the back end. We do also have a helpers folder. Okay, this allows us to use step argument transformation, which again, that's another video, and some hooks files, which again is another video, but again, it's another way of setting up test data, taking screenshots if we've got failures and things like that. Okay, so that's the step definitions project. Beneath that, we've got a frameworks project. So if we look at going from features to step definitions, each one of these step definitions has to reference the framework. The framework is the page object model, which again is a completely different subject that we can look at in another video. And the idea of the page object model is every single page and every single modal and every single table that will appear in your platform that you want to be testing should be defined in here. So for example, this is just a template that I create, and then all of the things that we're working on can just be elaborated out from this template. So for example, we've got stuff made up here. We've got again, we won't go into too much depth, just look at it at quite a high level. We've got some base pages, we've got a dashboard, a login screen, and just to give you an idea, what can you do on a login screen? Well, you can enter credentials, you can click buttons. So the idea is here we've got all of the elements. Again, each login page will look different, but the majority will have some sort of username, whether it be user or email, a password input, a login button, potentially a forgot password button or link. There may be a sign up button, again, depending on what you're working on, but it's not always present. But pretty much these are standard. So like I said, what can we do on here? So we can input usernames and passwords. We can log in, we can click the login button, we can click the forgot password, and it takes us to different sections. So as we can see so far, we've got a bit of a pattern here. Features is kind of the top dog, and without step definitions, features then relies on step definitions for it to know what to do, but then the step definitions then relies on the framework for it to know what to do. Then we can see at the bottom here we've got common. Now common you could probably think of a different name. Another name might just be miscellaneous. But the idea of common is it contains other things. So, for example, if we're using a driver, a web driver, whether it be Chrome driver or Edge driver, Firefox driver, anything like that, the the files for it will live in here. So as you can see, in this template, we install Chrome driver on the fly. We are assuming that we're just going to be using Chrome driver. That is something that we've been working on. We do also have an Edge driver installer now. We just haven't pushed it into this repo. So we've also got a bunch of common operations. So obviously Selenium WebDriver gives us a load of operations that we can perform, like clicking on things and sending keys and stuff like that. But we elaborate on them in here and make them a little bit simpler to use, with the idea of we may take on some juniors and things, and it gives them a better idea how to use things. Plus we've got some various weights in here. And then we've also got a constants file, and the idea of the constants file, so that you don't really keep needing to repeat yourself with URLs that you want to navigate to, username, passwords. These things aren't really going to change. And then enums, as C# is a strongly typed programming language, we want to ensure that the user cannot input the wrong input type into a field. So for example, if we go back and have a look in the login screen, so we can see here we've got two different user types, got two different credential types, and we can see that they're both, sorry, wrong one, but they're both used in here. So if you wanted to use the login method, you need to input a user type. So you'd either input here login open brackets user type dot admin, or login open brackets user type dot regular. I think it's just called regular. Sorry, yeah, admin or regular. That's what we've got. So they're the two things that we use. And then input credential. Again, we need to know what user we are, but we also need to know which credential it is. Is it the username or the password? So that's a little introductory video on how I set up this this test suite, this framework in Visual Studio. There'll be more videos to come covering things that we've kind of briefly mentioned here, such as the page object model, API testing, step argument transformation, which was, sorry, this one here. There's plenty of things to discuss, and I'm happy to take suggestions too. I'll put my email address into the comments, and if anyone's got any questions, feel free to ask. Thank you and goodbye.